couple of weeks back, we talked about how Call of Duty is in this weird place where it seems like as a traditional multiplayer fan, you're just entirely out of luck this year. And while I kind of still stand by that sentiment, we've recently heard more about the year at large that's still upcoming that I don't quite know how to feel about it. In some regards, it could be considered bad. Maybe it's for the better. I don't know, honestly, and today we're going to be taking a look at that content year ahead, seasons 3, 4, and 5, and how there may not even be a season 6. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. If this happens as rumored right now, do you like or dislike that? Are you okay with getting out of this year sooner rather than later, or how do you feel? Drop your thoughts down below, but if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on the video, and if you're interested in joining the community here as we push towards 500,000 subscribers, do be sure that the subscribe button is there with all things Call of Duty, whether that be Warzone loadouts, news and information, tips and tricks, and every so often, retrospective videos looking back at some of your favorite COD memories, perhaps. We got you covered with all that, so if you're interested, hit the subscribe button. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel a little further, using creator code Espresso in the in-game shop is an entirely optional yet great way to do so. Don't ever feel pressured to, but if you do, tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. That said, let's jump into it. So, like we mentioned a few weeks back, we took a comparative look at Call of Duty this year versus years in the past. Vanguard in particular seems to be in such a weird state, where there's nothing really new to offer, but we're still pushing further into the seasons. We went from the prospect early on in Modern Warfare of having maps dropped at the launch of a season, throughout, and then mid-season, and then also to round out the season. And then in Black Ops Cold War, we had the, okay, seasonal launch, and mid-season is only when we're going to be seeing content. In Vanguard, well, out of 2 seasons, there's been barely any maps at both launches, and nothing else for like 2 months essentially to follow. And okay, that's maybe not necessarily super fair to say. We did just get Arms Race with a new map that was included for that mode in particular, but realistically speaking, that's still not a lot for an entire mid-season update. And collectively speaking, so far in Vanguard, we've had 5 MP maps, one of which is mode specific, so kind of 4 there, an asterisk on that one, 2 main playlists, 7 weapons, and 2 operators that are free to play with, though you have to buy into the battle pass to get those, and then others that are only available within the shop. But by this point in Cold War, we had 6 traditional MP maps, but again, an additional 2 fireteam maps, or later rebranded as multi-team maps, 5 gunfight maps added to the fold, 4 in Season 1, and 1 additional one in Season 2, so a total of 13 maps across various modes. We had 10 weapons at that point as well. Modes of ranked play, drop kick, prop hunt, gun game, stockpile, and multi-team hardpoint, among other things. And if we go further back, when things were just starting to get their footing, Modern Warfare had 14 maps at this point, from Shoot House and Kravnik Farmland before Season 1, to then Crash, Vacant, Shipment, Port of Verdansk, Cargo, Atrium, Rust, 1 both in MP and 1 in Gunfight, Atlas Superstore, Zokov Boneyard, Condor Hideout, and Bazaar, all through Season 2, with 5 weapons, 4 operators, and a handful of modes as well. So, by comparison, we're well below the content level outputted so far in Vanguard, and whether or not you like Vanguard or not, I mean, personally, I don't mind the game. I enjoyed my time playing Advanced Warfare, World War II, and even Vanguard, admittedly. I've just kind of stopped playing since I've accomplished basically everything there is to do in the game. I don't really have anything that really brings me back, but whether you like it or not, I can't help but look from the outside looking in and thinking that the game is severely understaffed in either production or that the higher-ups are just kind of cutting their losses and pretending that the issue doesn't exist. Because, I mean, 5 MP maps, one of which, again, having an asterisk, 7 weapons, and 2 operators that are free to use, that's not a whole lot of content in the span of now 5 months since the game launched and across 2 additional content seasons. But what makes this even stranger still is that the Ghost of MW3, the alt account for the MW2 Ghost that we've talked about here plenty of times on the channel, he reported recently that Vanguard may actually only have 5 seasons as opposed to the traditional 6 that we've seen set up by Modern Warfare and Black Ops Cold War. The first time that we'll have seen this since the seasonal system has been introduced. And that kind of checks out with some stuff we've already seen so far. In a more official capacity, in recent interviews with Twitch streamers, Raven developers have harped on their interest in what's upcoming for Seasons 3, 4, and 5, but curiously leaving out any mention of Season 6 in those references. Why wouldn't you just round it out to 6 if there was 6? So that's kind of hinting towards this actually becoming something that's true as well, but it's also evidenced by the fact that we've already seen a plethora of issues when it comes to timing. Now, firstly, for reference, Season 1 was delayed by nearly a week, from the initial launch time of December 2nd to December 8th, not the biggest of delays, sure. Season 2, though, was then formally delayed from February 1st to February 14th, a 2-week interval here with that. So you're going on just under 3 weeks now at this point of a delay in that year. And while Season 3 hasn't technically been delayed, earlier in the season there was a Battle Pass timer discrepancy here between Vanguard, Warzone, and Cold War, where Vanguard's side of things ended up getting an additional 20 days added on, but that still checks out to be the same date of April 26th. So while we're not really pushing into the 4 to 5 5 weeks behind schedule comparison where that would then take up like an entire season in delays. Instead, the Season 5 endpoint is kind of a debate on what's upcoming. Currently, the rumors surrounding the next title, rumored and not just yet confirmed to be Modern Warfare 2, from what insiders project, this is going to go live in October sometime, being one of the earliest launches in COD history, up there with Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare 2019, both being the only games launching in October in the modern history of the franchise. So depending on when that happens, that may actually be the reset for the entire franchise. Modern Warfare 2, by all indications, seems to be the restart of the interconnectivity, if there is any at all. We've already talked about how Warzone was never really meant to be that through line through all of the games, but because it became that, it then required all the games to be connected. Ranking, content distribution, and so on and so forth. So with a fresh start, technically speaking, you can cut a game off and then start with that year of content, or potentially in Modern Warfare's case, 2 years of content, starting fresh, where it would essentially nullify the need for a Season 6 to give players time to rank up their guns, to try out the game itself in that new game, but also not necessarily make that transition into everything being connected like we'd see with Season 1. For reference, Cold War's Season 6 launched on October 7th, while Vanguard was launched on November 5th. Modern Warfare's Season 6 before that launched on September 29th, and Cold War launched on November 13th. Both games launched during Season 6 of that prior title, only to have Season 1 be that integration changeover for each. So if you're not integrating, you're not turning over a new experience, and the game is reportedly releasing in October, Season 5 could actually be that endpoint. Season 5s in the past have historically ended in or right before October, and with a delay already knocking things back a few weeks, perhaps more over the course of the next few seasons, I mean, it could check out. And at the very least, probably what is more likely, even with no delays here going forward, if you look at the lengths of the seasons so far that we've seen, Season 2 launched with 70 plus days. So 3 more 70-day intervals here, that's 210 days, which takes us all the way to November 2nd. So you can see timing-wise that just doesn't really work out in that favor of seeing a Season 6. Which brings me back to that initial thought. This is kind of bad, but maybe like also good. I just don't really know how to interpret this just yet. I mean, I enjoy content, but right now, we're not really getting much, especially for the traditional multiplayer side of things. But if we're not going to be getting any new content, we're not in a setting right now in Vanguard that's super appealing. Personally, I think World War II is just kind of overdone in the last decade or so. I'm not afraid to own up to it as a YouTuber. I love when people are interested in the game. It means more growth on the channel, more people enjoying the content and the game itself. So the content creation side is absolutely more enjoyable than instead of just being like every day, all right, what the hell am I going to talk about today? If we can then transition into Modern Warfare 2 without having to sit through another Vanguard Season 6, I mean, that I think I'd be okay with. Ideally, you increase the amount of content across the board and output for Vanguard and Warzone, which potentially is possible. I mean, when you take a look at season content like this is planned and completed months in advance. I would wager that they're finishing up Season 4, if not already halfway through, or maybe even already done with Season 5 at this point. So when you take a look at the lower content offerings of Season 1 and 2, that was likely happening during the crunch time of launch. So maybe we actually do get things amplified here. Maybe things are finally back to normal. Season 3, 4, and 5, they had full time to actually allocate towards post-launch content, not just trying to stuff as many maps in at launch as we saw with the, 16 or so that launched with the game. So maybe that happens, but ideally you increase that amount of content across the board, and then you drop Modern Warfare in October. But maybe we'll be unfortunately stuck with 3 more seasons of only 2 maps at that point. But for now, all we can do is guess. But right now, it's a very curious case as to what happens for the future. Will Season 5 be the final season? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below on if you guys would be cool with that, if you hope to see that be the case. Whatever it is, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, potentially here in the near future if we do get some teasers, reveals, or leaks. We've got you covered with all of that, so if you guys are at all interested, hit the subscribe button. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.